Hello, Mr. Beard here with your class recap for English 9 on this Monday, February 4th. We started with our bell ringer, which was actually just picking up a bell ringer sheet, because our bell ringer is a mystery. Alright, on your bell ringer sheet, students needed to make a T-chart, like so. On the left side of this T-chart, you needed to write data / evidence. On the right side, they needed to write warrants. Now, we are solving a crime mystery, but this isn't the kind of warrant that you're thinking about. The kind of warrant that you've probably seen on CSI or NCIS is a warrant to search property. That is not the kind of warrant we are using. We're talking about a warrant where you have evidence and you interpret that evidence to back up that argument you're making. For example, if you're making an argument that teenagers should not be allowed to drive until they're 18, one piece of evidence you might have is all of the crash rates. The percentage of crash rates involving teenagers is exponentially higher than any other age group. So then you would have to use a warrant to back up that claim, to bridge that claim to us and interpret that evidence for us. You could say, well, a higher number of teenagers are involved in these crashes, thus they should not be allowed to drive so early. That is a warrant. All right, we're going to actually use it on a mystery. So we've got a mystery here. It says, Amy Latour's body was found in her bedroom last night, as shown, with her pet canary strangled in its cage. Henry Willie and Joe Wanty, her boyfriends, Louis Spanker, a burglar known to have been in the vicinity, and Celeste, her maid, were questioned by the police. Wilbur Unisex, who happened to be in the area pursuing the Helicynus chartunus, I butchered that pronunciation, but okay, put down his butterfly net and solved the case. Can you? All right, so here is the image in question. So we've got Amy, unfortunately passed away, on the floor. We've got a dead canary, as described in the synopsis. And we've got a whole bunch of jewelry that has not been taken. All right, now students then had to go through the checklist. How was Amy apparently killed? Well, there was no blood or anything like that, so we can say, yes, she was probably strangled. Is there evidence of a violent struggle? Well, if you look at the picture, everything is neat and in order, so no, there was no evidence of a violent struggle. Was her murderer strong? Well, if you take a look at the picture, he ripped open a cage and forcibly opened a metal cage to get to the bird, so yeah, we can surmise the victim was strong. That takes out then the maid, Celeste. Not to be gender biased, but it makes it a little more likely for it to be a maid. Next question, was Amy fond of jewelry? Well, like I said, she's got 4 pieces of jewelry in this picture, the 3 shown and the bracelet. So yeah, she was fond of jewelry. Was she robbed? No, all pieces of jewelry remain, so she was not robbed. Thus, probably we can infer, eliminating Mr. Lewis here. He's out, because if he were the one to commit the crime, the jewelry, of course, would have been taken. No thief would leave that much jewelry just to commit a murder. Do you think she had been on friendly terms with her killer? Well, judging by the fact that she still has her brush in hand, and that she was most likely brushing her hair as her killer entered. From here, we can see the mirror shows that she could see who comes and goes. So if it was a stranger or someone she was not friendly with, she probably would not have continued to brush her hair. Thus, we can surmise or infer, yes, she was on friendly terms with her killer. Was the canary strangled before Amy's death? No way. She would not have continued to brush her hair while this man strangled her canary. So, was it before Amy's death? No, it was after her death. Was this a crime of passion? A crime of passion means something done of anger or in the moment. And we can surmise or infer that because nothing was taken, yes, it's most likely a crime of passion, and the fact that he went out of his way to finish the bird, which was most likely connected to the other gifts that we're going to talk about, yes, this was a crime of passion. And of course, this kind of leads us to our killer. Did Willie have a motive? Now we're down to the nitty-gritty. Up until now, students have been compiling data or evidence to make a claim and use a warrant to back that up. So, many kids had guessed by this point that it was in fact Henry Willie. So they were using evidence, the fact that he's got pictures, or she has a picture from her other boyfriend. The fact that she had another boyfriend other than him, we know can lead to drama and problems. The fact that she had flowers lends itself to him. The fact that the drawer was left and the cage was ripped open takes off two of those people. So between Joe and Willie, we can surmise Joe was on better terms than Willie, and thus it was Henry Willie who committed the crime. So we used at least 3 pieces of evidence and then tied those pieces of evidence to our claim that it was Henry Willie. The whole reason we're doing this is not to get better at solving crimes, because I would be thrilled if students turned into Sherlock Holmes, but that is not the ultimate objective. The ultimate objective is to use evidence, interpret that evidence, and use that evidence to make warrants or claims to back up our arguments. We have a tendency, all of us, not just teenagers, to make claims without providing sufficient evidence to back up those claims. It happens all the time. We see it we see celebrities do it. We see sportscasters do it. And so we're working on using evidence, not just making claims, but making claims that can be backed up with evidence. Now again, if you take the evidence out of the equation, this could be a very objective situation. We have no idea until you start looking at the evidence and interpreting that evidence, which is good for reading and writing. After we took a look at our bell ringer, we got into Chinese Cinderella, and we've read through chapter 13 and 14 and completed memoir number 17. So if you were absent, you need to read chapters 13 and 14 and complete memoir number 17. And that is all for today. Thank you for listening.